The hoop stuff. Did you play hoops in high school? Is that where this came from?
I played through my sophomore year. So I wasn't like super competitive, and I had like a weird educational background. Right. I don't know if we didn't talk about that. But so I didn't always play. It was more on like clubs and things like that. Gotcha. But I actually played baseball for like 10 years, and then I played basketball for like 5 years. But I stopped my sophomore year.
Yeah. So I mean, I put a lot of activity when I was younger too, and obviously that's decreased with age as we've been going down, these years. I find it, again, there's more liabilities, there's more things going on. We try to get outside as often as possible, but these last few months has been really rough. The challenges with work and whatever, and I'm itching right now. We're not probably going to get up to the snow very much at all this year based on the schedule. Yeah, so to do any snowboarding, I'm going to miss that. Whereas last year we were able to put on a couple times. We went a few times. It was so fun. You just get outside and try to avoid the crowds, but you're outside being active outside of the gym. It's so refreshing. Yeah. So I get that. Like, got to get outside the walls.
That sounds kind of dangerous, though. Snowboarding and skiing. I don't know. A friend of mine tore their ACL doing that.
Yeah. That was funny. Even when I started this playing basketball again, I told some clients are asking me what I'm doing and stuff, and I think I literally had 15 people between family and friends and clients that say like, "Oh my gosh, don't hurt your knee playing basketball. Don't hurt yourself." And I just kept thinking, I was like, man, that's like a sad way to live, is being like afraid to do anything physical. So, I mean, I kind of understand it from a different perspective, from the person who's literally not participating at all, the person who doesn't exercise at all. I think that's one of, and that were some of the people that were communicating this to me. But on the other side of things, the people that I'm like, you're active, you're working out, you're in here. And even the people that are pretty fit, they still have this like fear of doing these things outside the gym, even though they're running and jumping and doing all this stuff with our kind of training that we have them do. And that fear that's around that, it kind of just, I don't know. I mean, the reason I kind of got back into this, you and I had a conversation like at the beginning of this last year when I'd finished undergrad like a year or two before, and I was still kind of diving into a lot of my own education, but I was basically like, my hobby was training, my work, whatever, 40, 50 hours a week between everything. And then, and then my continued education was just everything around health and fitness. And you even gave me the advice of like, man, you got to like get back in to find some hobbies that aren't that isn't learning about biomechanics and training clients and programming and all this stuff. And I didn't really realize until recently, I have a couple other hobbies I've been doing that aren't necessarily physical either, but that have just like this itch that I haven't scratched in probably like 10 years that I'm just starting to now. And I can't tell you like the night and day, like in my mental, like, I don't know, my emotional state, my mental state. And like, I'm just happier, just scratching this itch, doing this stuff. So it's been great.
Yeah, it's the blockage that people have. There's like a dichotomy there. Like they know they need to be fit and active, so they go to a gym. And like, again, when you go like you said, there may be as many as 15 people, some clients, some family, whatever else. So you've got this person who, like as a client, for example, who knows being healthy and fit's important. Like, and they're approaching it for some reason, right? Whatever their reasons are, everybody's got some, different things. Their whys may be a little bit different, but they've embarked on this journey or re-entered into this thing of where I know I need to be doing things that help my longevity, my aesthetics, my performance in some way. And almost always it's more around the aesthetics and longevity piece, particularly here. Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do with the demographic that we live in here. There's a lot of people that are just entering into a regular exercise for their very first time in their life, minus maybe their inclusion in it in high school or as a kid, because it was
the first time in their adult life they're like really exercising regularly. But to hear when people are outside doing things outside, and then they hire a coach because they're like, I don't want to get hurt. I want to make sure I'm being wise with my investment of time right here.
I don't even know what to do. I don't know what to do. So they're looking for some structure and some programming there.
Yeah. And so I don't want to take anything away from that. But interestingly, like that jump to, if I did something else, this could be dangerous. And I also get that too, because we hear and see that all the time. People go out and they get involved in an activity that invariably, if you're active enough and you do this long enough, stuff is going to happen. You're going to fall off that mountain bike, man, right? You're going to fall down on the basketball court. You're going to be put in compromised positions if you're doing things that are unknown, right? In terms of nature versus that very specific structure of here's the workout plan for the day. We have some very specific mechanics we're working you through, and we want these very specific ranges, and it's very controlled and known, right? Versus the unknown stuff. And as soon as that unknown stuff starts to enter the picture, all of a sudden the red lights go on and the alarm bells go off about the danger associated with it.
Yeah.
I'd have to agree with you, man. I think for me, that's a tough way to live. I would not want to live my life that way. But I also understand how people can be fearful of that stuff. But I don't think it sets you up well for a very fulfilling lifestyle, just in general, when it comes to your health, fitness, wellness, resiliency, vibrancy, and the things that come on board with that. There's a lot of stuff that goes along with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were talking about this off air. You had made the comment of like, it's honestly a great way to kind of put you in an early grave. Like, it's a way to like, and I see this, and maybe it's driven from like how sedentary society is more and more and more. And it's interesting because I feel like in some ways athletics with youth is almost more intense, and there's more games and there's more playing. But then as a society as a whole, and even a lot of those athletes are very sedentary outside of their sports. And so that mindset of, I feel like younger and younger, I see people that are, in their mid 20s, young 20s, early 30s that are like already like given up on, oh, I can't do that thing anymore. I'm 30, I'm 20, I'm 25, whatever. And like, for me, like keeping maybe it's almost like a childlike joy in life to be able to go do things that bring joy outside of just the mundane, like responsibilities of life, of working and doing those types of those things. But on the other side of, again, I love training. I'm in the gym. Like, training is a very big part of my life. But even just getting caught up in that, or I feel like a lot of people train in a very like either only bodybuilding style or only powerlifting style. They train in the gym and they never explore these other things. I'm like, if you're 25, you hopefully have, maybe you're a third of the way through your life. Hopefully you'd want, for the rest of this time, you don't want to go and experience and do these things that brought you so much joy when you were younger. So that's just my mindset around it. It's just like, you got to be able to keep doing that stuff.
Yeah, I'm just, you brought that. I'm glad you brought that up. I actually did a podcast a long time ago with a buddy of mine. It was during like deep into COVID, and it was when we kind of first started the podcast, when it was all just the health and fitness side of things, and part of it was just reconnecting with my industry friends. To commiserate and collaborate a little bit on having our gym shut down. He's a VP. Donnie's if you're listening out there, shout out to you, man. Miss ya. He's a VP for a very, very large fitness fitness company. And we were having this very conversation and going back to youth and kids and how people are, they lose touch. And interesting how that happens, particularly here in the United States, because at some level, all kids are involved in PE at some point. And over time, that's actually been pulled away. Like it's not a compulsory part of getting through the educational pathways.
Yeah.
And I think that's dangerous for America. I think it's dangerous for people and humans in general versus other cultures and other places in the world where activity is much more a part of the culture that they live in or whatnot. But even still, I don't know. I don't live in those cultures. I'm only speaking from kind of what I've observed from the outside. My point being is it starts as PE, right? And really when you get introduced to PE, it's playing.
Yeah.
And that's what kids should be doing. And all the things that you develop by playing a game or a sport or being involved in some type of a competition. And we could go down a rabbit hole in that. But it goes from PE to exercise. And somehow it transitions. Like we stopped climbing on monkey bars and having a catch in the park and playing stickball or flag football or soccer or running or, volleyball or whatever it happens.
Red Rover.
Man. Dodgeball, which we can't do anymore because
red light, green light.
It hurts people's feelings, all that kind of stuff. It turns into exercise. And somewhere along the line, exercise then turns into like a chore for people.
It's like a dosage. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like people now, they see exercise. Let me get my dosage of exercise, like my required dosage of exercise versus thinking about it as a means to a more active life. Like this is how I prepare for my more active life. Well, I'm sort of required based on my general health to get my dosage of exercise. So I go to the gym 2 to 3 times a week, get my dosage of exercise, and okay, I've fulfilled my requirement. And it's like checking a box versus actually using it to have a more active and fulfilled life.